Hello everyone, welcome to another race in the Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament for 2020. I am Hammer Row in the booth, and I am joined by Mercer. How are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Always look forward to another spoiler race. Always enjoy co-commentating with you. These two runners are also ones that are a lot of fun to watch in our 1-1 matchup here today.
Yeah, this is going to be a blast. These are two people who know how to run this game and are really good at routing stuff too for the Spoiler Log Tournament itself. So you guys are in for a treat if you have not seen them run. Speaking of treats, if you are unfamiliar with the Spoiler Log Tournament, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick rundown. So we still have about a minute and a half before we get started. The runners have 15 minutes before the race starts where they're given the spoiler log. That spoiler log has everything they need, from the item locations to the tree pulls to the crab drops, everything they could need to complete the game. And it is their job in 15 minutes to get this route as clean as they can, written down however they want to do it. And then as soon as this timer chucks down to 0, which we have just about a minute out at this point, they're going to be going. You're going to see a lot of skipped chests because we're not going to be needing pieces of heart or arrows or that sort of things other than what's strictly speaking required. You're going to see some low percent stuff and hopefully not too many deaths. That is one of the things. You will probably see someone die here. It's just kind of how it works. But other than that, what are you looking forward to today, Mercer?
Well, as you can see, if you're watching the restream on the bottom, our tracker has also had access to the spoiler log and has preset our pendants and crystals. So hopefully, depending on where things are, I'm looking forward to not seeing Turtle Rock today.
That's always nice, but then isn't that popular saying it's always pendant Turtle Rock? So I'm not holding my breath, but it'd be really nice. Also, it's always Pendant Swamp, so, I mean, if there's one of those we don't have to see, I'd be thrilled. Both of them would be just an absolute wonderful, wonderful thing.
Depending on where Hookshot is, and if we need it for something else, it's possible we might see a Moldorm 2 bounce or a hover at the end of the seed.
That's a good point, actually, because if we get the boots relatively early, we won't need the Hookshot for Meyer. Nice $100 from Link's house.
And we actually see Divergence right away with Cadenza starting in Sanctuary.
Yep, two completely different routes here. Cadenza, as you said, starting in Sanctuary, heading straight to the shop for some bombs. Well, there you go.
And had the 100 rupees from Link's house and able to just pick those bombs right up.
Something I'm going to have to keep in mind, actually. I don't think I've ever done that upon getting rupees in Link's house, and that's something that I'm going to have to start doing, because that's a brilliant idea.
Meanwhile, Cadenza getting the Ice Rod and some bombs out of the Lion's Hideout, as well as a heart piece, and then quitting out of Kakariko. Apparently that's the full extent of what they came to the village for.
So that Ice Rod pickup kind of scares me. On one hand, it's a nice weapon, as we do get a lovely Moon Pearl there in the back of the closet. It's a nice weapon to have, especially early on if you can get some magic. It does really well against Landmo, freezes enemies, kills blue guards, and a couple other things in one shot. So not bad to go for, but on the other end, we have a green pendant Turtle Rock, and the Ice Rod's required for that, so
Here we see Ninban heading towards Eastern right after grabbing that Moon Pearl.
Alright, so for those in chat who are asking, this is a spoiler log setting, so the runners know where everything is. That's why you're seeing a lot of skipped chests. If a chest has 20 rupees and they don't need it, or if it has some arrows and they don't need it, or a piece of heart for that matter. So you're going to be seeing a lot of skipped chests. That's going to be the name of the game today.
Yeah, and we are getting a little bit of lag on Ninban's side, but hopefully his stream will rejoin us. We'll follow Cadenza for now, who has the Ether Medallion.
Yep, meanwhile, Ninban is back and is just heading deeper into Eastern Palace. A dungeon that cannot be cleared right now, keep in mind, because we don't have a bow.
Yes, and that ether medallion, it's not currently marked on the tracker, but it is known that is the entry requirement for both Meyer and Turtle Rock. We will not, see map checks or anything like that. They won't go out of their way to check that because they already have that information as part of the spoiler log.
And that is super early mitts, so that is technically Dark World access. It's not full Dark World access for Cadenza since we do not have the hammer yet, but we do have the mitts, we do have the Moon Pearl, or we will in a moment here. And that'll give us technical Dark World access.
And then going through Eastern, you see the red meringue. I also picked up an armor upgrade, which is definitely a nice safety to have.
Yep, with low hearts comes armor being incredibly useful. And speaking of red items, hello, Cane of Samaria.
Yep, 100% required for most layouts, including this one, because we will need it for Misery Mire.
Yeah, you have to do some real tightroping in order to not require the Cane of Samaria at all, actually. Like, it's definitely doable, but it's a pretty rare thing.
Yeah, there's different degrees of really rare things, and that one is one that, you see from time to time, even in non-spoiler races.
Alright, so Cadenza, armed with that Moon Pearl, is now heading back towards the Kakariko area.
And there was some really nice bomb strats in Mini Moldorm Cave. Also get some nice drops there with a full magic and a fairy. And there's our hammer.
Yep, that is Hammer sitting in Mini Moldorm Cave. So everything's been relatively early so far. Nice Dark World access. Going to be different Dark World access for Ninban. He's going to be grabbing his glove in just a moment here, but either way it'll work out. I'll tell you what we haven't seen yet is a sword. And I think heading into Dark World with 3 hearts, both of our runners would be relatively pleased to have a sword on hand.
Yeah, although when Ninban gets there, at least has blue mail and a hammer. Cadenza's only usable weapon at the moment is bombs. Doesn't have any magic for that ice rod. There's a hookshot, which is a nice weapon for walking around the overworld with.
Yep, I don't know that I would directly call it a weapon, but it prevents you from having to deal with enemies, so in terms of that, it's nice defense at least.
So going to want to be a little cautious here to not take a death. It's okay, but just has to avoid random damage.
Yep, honestly, the really nice thing there was that we didn't have to worry about the Parabomber. Those suckers are brutal.
Gets a fighter sword for the trouble, with a bottle with some red goo and another heart piece.
Yeah, that red goo is another delightful thing here. Any place that you can just refill your health is going to be really, really friendly, because in these spoiler log tournaments, I mean, you're like 2 mistakes away from dying at all times.
Yeah, there's been a few seeds where something like red mail and 9 hearts has just kind of been free-ish along the way, but in most cases we've seen runners, on 6, 7 hearts by the end of the seed.
Alright, so a little bit of retracing. Ninban grabs their sword. Cadenza going to be grabbing the hammer here in just a moment.
Yeah, I think Ninban's routed this a little better, and I think that largely comes down to that initial bombs play. Cadenza's initial trip to Kakariko, unless we need the ice rod, but even then, has been back through there, seemed to mostly be for those bombs.
Yeah, that is a good point. Depending on how the race starts, you generally need bombs, rupees, or both, depending on what is freely available. And I think Ninban grabbing the 100 rupees and then grabbing a murder in the back of the head, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, those do a lot of damage, and they're very difficult to hit with the hammer, especially up-down hammer.
We might have a bigger problem, though. Ninban was in the pod area, but was lacking money. So we're going to need a quick 41 rupees.
Let's see what's back here. This could be just a quick trip for some money.
Quick trip for
red mail. So we got one runner on red mail and the other on green. That's not normally how you see it in these races.
Another save and quit by Ninban here seems slightly up in the air about what to do next. Nice bow.
Yeah, that's going to allow Cadenza to single dip Eastern.
Yep, and if only we could find the mirror somewhere, we'd be able to clear Eastern and Pod in one in a single shot.
Yeah, that is true. Might need it for our access to Desert Swamp as a pendant, so could also be quite late in the seed.
So Ninban hopping into the well, which unless I'm mistaken is not something we saw on Cadenza's side. In there for the money, I presume. That 50 rupees puts us up over what we need for Pod.
And then Cadenza heading into Eastern.
Yeah, Ninban lacking the glove to make this trip quicker, so never mind, save and quit.
Yeah, let's see where he decides to go here. This might be the trip to go get those mitts.
Not yet. Alright, so it does look like we're getting a return to the pod area from Ninban. This time we do have the required money, and we hopefully won't get one shot by a murder deck. Although I think in red mail they only do 2 hearts, so I think you could take 1 hit and be okay.
Yeah, although Ninban still doesn't have a bow.
That's right, I hadn't thought about that, so... Unless there's a bow in here, Ninban is not going to be able to clear this in the first go either.
Cadenza grabbing that red cane. We'll be able to get the crystal, smartly grab some of these arrows out of the pot here. Although this, these dark rooms are pretty safe, but 4 hearts isn't everything.
Yeah, these rooms are relatively safe on one hand, but on the other hand, those Igors hurt regardless of what you have. So you know, safe is better than nothing.
Yeah, it's mostly having enough arrows when you hit in there to feel decent about it. So to answer a question in chat, I know in the league recently that there was a week where a pilot was used, but in this case they've had 15 minutes before the race started to study the log, and they are doing their own piloting.
Cadenza stocking up on arrows, really not a bad idea before this fight.
So we did see Ninban Ocean Glitch to get into the backup pod.
And pod is actually probably one of the trickier dungeons for the spoiler log race because there are so many keys. It's not necessarily easy to figure out how many exactly you're going to need to get what you want. Because obviously you don't have to go through the whole thing. When you have, you know, stuff back here, that's a couple extra keys you have to use, and with the fire rod and the flute back here, it's easy to mix up your key count.
Yeah, both of those will be necessary, but Cadenza's going to get them here shortly. And the way that Cadenza's routed these 2 dungeons without the mirror kind of implies that the mirror is locked behind one of the items within here, which there's been a lot between Eastern and Pod over here, so that makes sense with the, you know, cane, flute, and fire rod.
Yeah, that's a good point. That locks quite a bit. The entirety of the mire area, at the very least, along with a decent amount of other stuff as well. All of TR. And as several of you may be aware of in chat, one of the fun differences between spoiler log rando and regular rando is that our runners can choose to come in and say hi if they want. Since we are not going to be searching for items in the traditional rando sense, we know where everything is. This plays a lot more like an NMG run, where runners can screen snipe or come say hi in chat or just listen to the restream if they want. So, as you can see, Ninban saying hi in chat really quickly. I know that runners are by and large in one of 2 minds about that. Mercer, I believe you're one of the people who would rather just race and just not look at the stream at all.
Yes, although that's a product of the fact that I'm terrible at the game. As we see, Ninban get flippers and boots, so all kinds of footwear upgrades here. Like, my nerves are bad enough while racing in a tournament without the pressure of like following anything other than the game.
That is fair. With a Master Sword here as well, we are absolutely loaded in Paradox Cave today.
Does the Moldorm usually go through the switch like that? I don't think I've seen that before.
Normally, they don't make it up top. So I don't know that I've ever seen the Moldorm go through the switch, but I don't know that I very frequently see the Moldorm go up there at all. So. Oh no, Ninban is headed straight for Turtle Rock.
Ninban doesn't have mitts.
Ooh. This has not been a fun race for Ninban.
It does have the boots now. We'll need to make up some time here. But Cadenza just kind of slow and steadily going through pod.
Yep, and that is the flute and fire rod out of the back here.
And we'll need to get a small still to get to Elmasaur, and then we'll probably death warp back to the front, I would guess.
Okay.
Not totally sure. The fire rod will make the turtle room less horrifying than it might be on 4 Hearts without it. Oh, there's 2 keys here, so we can just take the harmless hellway back to the boss. Doesn't need to death warp. Oh, or might be getting something else out here.
Alrighty, get your hammer yumps ready.
No, we do see Ninban heading into Turtle Rock. The heart container is not bad to get there.
No, you're generally not going to say no to a 20% increase in health.
Okay, so oh, I don't know if that was intended or not. Not totally sure.
Yeah, I'm not either.
May have been trying to get another item from back there. Might have been trying to die.
Well, that's a boatload of money. And a little more money. And a berry.
That was rude.
Isn't it always?
You'll notice didn't get it there, but did hookshot the heart. There is a minor glitch where sometimes when you hookshot a heart, you get it twice.
Yep, it's basically frame rule, healing, and it's good for about 25% of the time, I believe.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's more or less completely random whether you get it. There's not really a way to set it up that I'm aware of. I could be wrong on that.
Alright, so with Ninban not having the fire rod, or not having the ice rod, I should say, unless something absolutely terrible has occurred here in Ninban's routing, we are not going to be seeing green pendant or tracks.
Yeah, it would be a little surprising, but we'll see what is in here.
Alright, meanwhile, Cadenza does get that turtle room lit up, so the scary part is over. Now you just gotta thwomp the turtles and be done with it.
You see the other bow from Ninban. And then a death back to the entrance. Is this just death warping to get the refill, or is he leaving? Just grabbing that refill.
Yep, and we are carrying on. And these chain chomps, I believe at this point would be a one-hit KO. So we're gonna want to be careful in this room.
I don't think they are on red mail. I think they do 6 hearts on green. But it's still not healthy to get hit by them.
Okay, I thought they were an enemy that that only partially adhered to mail, so I thought they still did 4 hearts on red, but I might be completely wrong about that. So,
I mean, you may be correct. I didn't think they did quite that much on red. They're definitely like a random and super dangerous enemy.
they are. I think Turtle Rock is the explanation for why Mario dies in one hit to everything. Because you got Pokies here and they do a bunch of damage. You got Chain Chomps and they do a bunch of damage.
I'm interested to watch what Ninban is diving deeper in here for.
Yeah, because we know it's not Mimic Cave since we don't have the mirror.
And yeah, Crynex, since we don't have the ice rod. But I actually meant the item he's targeting. I think it can only be the mirror or book or something leading to those.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's about all we need at this point.
Unless he's diving with a tempered sword or something, but
okay, now I'm confused.
did he need to grab a key? Maybe. Or maybe he needed to go into the vanilla big key chest.
Yeah, I think based upon the fact that he opened that big chest, I'm assuming this was a case of mistaken identity. Maybe not? I don't know. I'm very confused. Oh no, that would be a death warp back to the big key entry. Never mind. Or the big chest entry, sorry.
Yeah, it must be further along than we did the small key there.
So that would imply Laser Bridge. Oh boy.
And we do see Cadenza heading the same general direction. Now let's see if this is a Turtle Rock visit as well.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me since we're at least going to be getting the flippers and the boots as well as a sword here. And then I presume with Ninban heading this far in, there's going to be, like you said, a book or a mirror or something leading to those two here.
Tempered sword, I don't think that's what we came all this way for.
Nope, but that very well might be, especially if that mirror is somewhere silly.
Yeah, that also explains some of Ninban's routing decisions to this point. You'd have to go into Turtle Rock, so routed for the bow that's in Turtle Rock anyway. I'm not convinced that the double dips are going to be worth it to Pod and Eastern, but that would probably be the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, that does make sense. It's also a situation where, in spite of the double dips, at this point, unless I'm missing something, I'm kind of double checking everything here. Yeah, unless I've missed something, Ninban is in go mode. So this is going to be a situation where Ninban can literally just turn around and just rush every dungeon that they come across and not have to worry about anything else.
You see Cadenza sitting up for the Hera pot. Gets it fairly cleanly there.
Yeah, that is one of the several fairly new glitches that we have decided to allow into the randomizer play. It makes Go Mode Hera really, really fast.
It's having a little trouble with Moldorm, who's been kind of rude in this tournament, as usual.
Yeah, I think there's something about having lower health. Like, even though you're not going to die to Moldorm, and it's not an actual thing that's really a problem for nearly any of these runners, just the fact that you're less well-equipped makes you just a little more wary of the worm, and Moldorm tends to take advantage of that. And speaking of taking advantage, that Hellway was not fun. Not fun at all for Ninban. Those Patrick stars would not get out of the way, and then the anti-fairy got a clean hit in, and it was not good.
So yeah, Cadenza having done Hera, gonna head over towards Turtle now. And Cadenza's going to get silvers here fairly freely, which will be nice.
That's a good point. We'll have to see if Ninban decides to grab the other bow out of hammer pegs here once finished with TR or Thief's Hound. Sorry. Alright, hold on to your socks, guys. We have some fun coloring.
Oh my eyes.
Yeah, I'm mainly looking over at Cadenza's screen myself. But this is perfectly legal, no big deal.
Gets it through it there.
Ninban nearly driven to distraction, though. Only had one more hit there in the tank.
It's going to grab this bow, so I get to do the quicker version of hammer pegs there. Both the runners picking up silvers at basically the same moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. That was, what, a 1.5 second difference there? That was pretty nice.
Yeah, I don't know how often you'll see this level of routing difference in a spoiler race. Our runners are going to have 5 crystals between the two of them, and none of the dungeons will overlap that they've completed.
That's a good point, actually. And depending on where Ninban goes next, if we see a Mire or Ice Palace clear here, You could have 6 dungeons with no similarities.
Yeah, I think Cadenza might clear out Thieves Town or Desert by then, but we'll see.
That's a good point. I think it does depend on the Meyer big key placement for determining how quickly that's going to get done. Oh man, routing desert with all this stuff and still not having the mirror means you have to dash all the way through here. That's not fun.
It could be worse. You could not have the boots.
That's a good point.
It will be nice to have the silvers for Ganon, given that they would have to go somewhat out of their way to pick up a blue potion and don't have half magic or anything like that.
Speaking of, I wonder where most of our safeties are. We haven't seen a cape or half magic or really any goos other than that red one. Yeah, no powder. This has not been...
Oh no, Cadenza takes a death there. Ninban comes close with that Igor hugging him after the cutscene.
Yeah, and Igors are one of those enemies that really couldn't care less what color shirt you're wearing. They're going to do their 1 heart of damage regardless. Oh boy. Landmo gonna landmo. There we go, nicely done. Alright, so Mercer, what you have alluded to has come to fruition. We have 5 crystals, and none of them are the same.
Let's see where Ninban heads. Okay, he's gonna clean up Eastern and Pod, so we'll sort of close that.
Yep, and this is going to be 2 relatively quick dungeons. Unfortunately, we cannot mirror and full-on go one to the other, but it'll just be a quick flute back going into the Dark World and then heading through Pod for Ninban.
And this chat is guessing now, yeah, the mirror is in a very inaccessible place. It's super obnoxious. So this book is our access to Desert.
Alright, Cadenza getting through the maze this go around, so now we just have Laser Bridge to worry about.
I'm gonna take the safety door here rather than risk taking a death on Laser Bridge. I do like that. If you're at all confident in the skips.
Yeah, not a bad idea, especially since... Yeah, yep, definitely a good idea.
Don't get 1.0'd either. There is a way to get soft lock there if you get really unlucky.
Wait, really? How does that work?
I believe it's if you take additional damage while you're also dying to falling off at soft locks. I forget the exact details.
That sounds fun.
And we do see the tempered sword get snagged, and then Cadenza's going to be out of here. But Ninban's about to tie up the crystal count at 3 each. That death in Turtle Rock was pretty costly for Cadenza.
Yeah, in terms of dungeons, you really don't want to die in TR, or yeah, TR is pretty much the top of that list.
Yeah, wasn't like the worst case, die on trying X, have no safety exit, go all the way back to the start sort of deal, but it wasn't great. But I think it's evened up a lot here. I think Cadenza is still very slightly ahead, but I don't think it's a big difference.
Yeah, any large lead that was had has since been washed off. We might be like a couple of seconds in either direction, but I don't think there's any sort of significant lead in either way at this point, as you said. Wonder if we're gonna get a bird toss. Nope, unfortunately not.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think Ninban had a small key in pod left, so we'll have to get one.
You are correct, if my memory is correct. So my memory agrees with you, which means either we're good or we're not. We'll find out.
Let's see just how mean Meyer is today.
I feel like for spoiler log, the meanest chest is a toss-up between the one next to the big chest and the cutscene chest.
I don't, because I don't think it's a toss-up. The cutscene chest is the meanest, but you're correct on what the second meanest is.
That's fair. Oh, nice. Just barely got around that fire bar. And not too bad of a place.
Yeah, Meyer gets a big improvement regardless, unless it's just God Meyer from being spoiler log. Knowing which of the chests you need to beeline to is just huge.
Okay, so I want to back up like 10 seconds. I didn't know you could dash through that piping. Ninban lined himself up in that doorway and then just dashed downwards through the skinny pipe there. Just casually, no big deal.
Yeah, I think I've seen that once or twice before, but I don't remember when. So some of the clips and such that are just really minor time saves are among the most impressive looking in the game, like the Ice Palace one to go down the stairs and the one ice room with the fire bar.
Yeah, I don't want to call that one completely pointless because it does save a little bit of time, but in terms of swag versus actually usefulness, that's definitely A. You're looking real good doing that. Speaking of looking good, Ninban is down to a heart, so let's be careful here.
Meanwhile, it looks like Cadenza is going to give us a blind fight you can see.
Ninban was just going with the lore, choosing to explain how blind became blind.
Is that what that was? Okay. Well, Ninban needs to not, randomly eat an eyeball or lightning to the face, but does have silver, so this should be pretty quick.
I'm not sure that pretty quick does that justice, but either way, there's a nice little bowl full of eyeball gelato.
Please note, the SpeedGaming family of networks is not responsible for your health if you were to eat vitreous gelato.
I was fairly confident that the Meyer boss was high in vitamins. That didn't come out right. Vitamins? How would I say that? I think vitamins.
Looks like we are going to get ice. This should be a pretty quick setup. Given the icebreaker clip.
Yeah, icebreaker, in my opinion, the most fun of the set of glitches that we were able to uncover recently. Diver down for swamp. Unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing that today unless one of our runners takes a dive into swamp for some unbeknownst reason. But that one's fun as well. Icebreaker really shouldn't be called Icebreaker, in my opinion. It should be called Ice Fixer because it's the only thing that makes this dungeon not terrible.
I don't know. I kind of miss the old Ice Palace bomb jump. You don't see it very much anymore. Still see it occasionally if you can't get King of Samaria for this, but not nearly the frequency that you used to see it. It's very nicely done.
I mean, you can still go watch NMG runs if you're really craving that IPBJ. Which I just realized could be further acronymized to iced peanut butter and jelly. You're welcome. I'm sorry, I'm not hungry at all.
And making a beeline for the balls pretty much. Let's see if we see this stair clip. Nope. Let's grab the cape there.
Cadenza having similar fun with the last landmark. And Ninban is either going to need some health or wow, that was a clutch magic drop. Holy cow.
Yeah, even going in with full health, you know, the sword being the strat is fine, but not always something that people get. Get away a little bit, but it looks like he's okay.
Yeah,
I had seen the prize pack on those earlier, but didn't mean the drop to actually happen.
that is fair. It is a far better player than I who can keep track of all of these prize packs and be able to use them on command. Either way, it was a heck of a drop when he needed it. Unfriendly Popo all the way down at the bottom.
And I'm going to be fluting over to 5 and then up the mountain after Pod. We'll have to do Hera, but can route that in with GT. Cadenza's got the rest of Meyer here and then has to do Ice Palace. But will not have to do Hera whenever making the last mountain climb. It's pretty tight here.
This one's going to be close. Ninban is going to need another small key. I don't know if there's one sitting here in the front. I don't think so. So that's going to be a little bit of time.
Cadenza does also have has more health, but on blue mail instead of red mail. Red mail was in, I believe, the back of escape, so won't be getting that at this point. So probably about even in that regard. I think it does still have the red potion left, which Ninban burned to bottle glitch earlier.
That is correct on both counts.
So yeah, the thing is, Ninban, there are some in the front, but Ninban's going to have to go around because it didn't open this front door the first trip. So it's not like he's just going to walk out to the arena ledge. We'll have to go through these locked rooms and everything.
Yep, and since Ninban did already grab the keys here, it's going to be a matter of having to kind of hammer down and then go grab one of the keys in the front that would normally be quick to get to if you'd open that main door, but not in Ninban's case.
Cadenza getting through the more difficult of the Meyer Dark Rooms. It's among the tougher ones in the game that you regularly see. I think most runners would agree the Agate Tower ones are probably the most dangerous, but you don't actually see those very often. And there's that pod stair glitch through the pegs.
Yeah, another delightful little quick glitch to see.
If for information on how to do that one, consult somebody who knows, because I don't.
Well, let's see. It looked like place a Mario block, go upstairs. I couldn't really see anything on that.
Chat was saying earlier it is related to Icebreaker, but I'm not the technical expert on that. So yeah, Cadenza about to head over towards Ice for their 7th crystal. Ninban on the way to Helmasaur for the 5th, or for the 6th, rather. But it's not like, Hera with the Herapod is, one of the shortest dungeons in the game.
Yeah, if you can first or second shot that Herapod, it is ridiculously fast. That boomerang was not being fun. That's why the blue one's better.
I hard disagree, just because you can use the red one for pick flippers.
Yeah, that's what the bow's for.
Or splash deletion. Yeah, the timing's easier with the boomerang. Cadenza getting ready to set up for an icebreaker, I assume. Yep. And then gets that torch lit and cleans the room up.
Takes out 4 turtles per NMG strat before that the torch even gets lit there, so that's nice muscle memory.
Cadenza using a select buffer to get the icebreaker glitch, but does get it the first attempt. There goes Helisaur. That's 6 crystals each. Good chance this one's going to come down to GT execution.
That's always a fun one, though. Alright, so Ninban is going to be climbing the mountain, Hera first, and then GT, and Cadenza is going to be dropping in for a fun little cold stare fight.
Cadenza has some room to make up time here. Ninban's cold stare fight was a little off. Does let him get away, but gets more hits in, I think, than Ninban had. So we see Ninban grab a potion.
It is honestly not a bad idea.
Yeah, it has the cape too, so that can set up for some Ganon strats if need be. That's Cadenza's 7th crystal, already has the heroine. So in chat, if you care to take a guess where the Ganon big key is, don't guess by number because the number will be very low probably.
Ninban, you don't have the mirror, bud. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, it needs to go around. It needs to make sure he does Hera before going over to the Dark World. It is a little bit more of an obnoxious trip than normal.
Alright, so as Mercer had said, we are guessing locations for that GT big key. There are 22 spots, but numbers are not going to work today, guys, because our runners know where that big key is. So go ahead and give me a room, and if the room has more than one chest, give me a chest location for the room. Mercer, my friend, did you take a look at the GT big key in the spoiler log today?
I didn't, but I never take a guess in spoiler log because I have access to it, and like in the event I get it right, I could be accused of being a lying witch.
That's fair.
So there's really just no upside to it.
That's a fair point. I'm just always wrong, so it doesn't matter.
Ninban going for the spin speed version of that clip and gets it. Takes a few more tries, but probably still faster than the bomb setup.
Yeah, unless you're first trying or at best second trying that, you can get a lot more attempts out with the spin speed.
Oh, Moldorm being rude today, at least to Ninban.
Yeah, that was kind of a, okay, get your timing ready and home run.
And rejected again, and gets a poke hit on the way down. Yeah, that was the problem with the poke hit. But gets it anyway.
Yep, so Cadenza ahead by 2 cutscenes at this point.
More than that, Ninban's got to walk over to the portal.
That's right. I'm being silly thinking they had the mirror.
Yeah, Cadenza was ahead even without that Moldorm being rude, but that opened it up a little bit more. It's still tight enough that Ninban could make it up, but gonna have to be significantly better than Cadenza from here. That's a nice hope room for this. 2 free heart containers.
Oof, Ninban at least not getting dead rock there. That was close. I try very hard not to go on an anti-dead rock rant every time a runner goes across that corner. It's terrible. Like, it's terrible. Who put those there?
A Japanese software developer 30 years ago.
Yeah, and he was not a happy man. It's not a happy person does not put something that cannot something that blocks you when you hit it in a spot like that. That's not fun. Why would you do that? It's me.
It's to prove the value of the Quake medallion.
But Quake already gets you into TR, as we actually see a key in a spot that you don't frequently see it in. And now we see a death warp because we don't have a mirror.
Yeah, and those 2 extra arc containers costing a little time.
Probably still well worth it.
I don't know. Given at this point Cadenza is heading towards the end of the game, do you want to spoil for our lovely audience where the mirror was?
Give me just a second. I know it was in GT.
No, it's not. The mirror is not in GT.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The mirror is in the witch's hut. So the mirror is technically in GT, because guess where the mushroom is? It's on the right side! Compass room. So yeah, you were stuck. You were definitely doing the Book of Medora access point for Desert, since you needed GT access to get to the mirror. Not fun. Not a fun scene at all.
At least in that respect, it was kind of polite in other ways. Cadenza going through the gauntlet now does have these silver arrows.
Let's see, we had the powder on Mothula, so we weren't seeing that today.
I'm down to 1 heart. May end up taking this refill room.
Half Magic was in Pendant Skull Woods as well, so this was Safety Woods.
Cadenza running into a little bit of trouble with land mode 2. And is getting them down at about 1 hour and 35 seconds. We'll mark Ninban from there to kind of see what the gap is.
Yes, as several of you in chat are pointing out, this would not have been a fun. This would not have been a fun scene to do without a spoiler log, especially not for that dip all the way into the back of Laser Bridge for the book.
A little bit of trouble in the treadmill room there for Ninban. Does get it.
Yeah, that room can be really, really friendly. It can also be really, really not friendly, depending on the Zyzax RNG. Because sometimes you get one going up that center path, and then it's just ring around the rosy the entire time. You're just chasing that sucker around, and it's not fun.
So Ninban's basically 1 minute behind, give or take a few seconds. Not a lot of places left to make up that gap, though, but we'll probably need Cadenza to make a slip somewhere.
Well, there's always Moldorm 2 getting revenge.
As we grab a butter sword out of the pre-Moldorm chest.
And the final chest in the game is yet undecided. There might not even be anything in there. Schrodinger's chest. Alrighty, it is time for your favorite math class, Agonometry. Oh, that's a nice lineup.
Looks like 1-1 so far.
Yep, adding another one to it. Ninban, be careful. Ninban! Goodness gracious. Alright, so this Aga 2 fight for Ninban is going to be half-hearted at best.
Well, could burn the potion at some point, but yeah. Meanwhile, Cadenza, going into Ganon, 3 hearts, I believe does still have a red potion. Does only have 5 arrows, so we'll just have to maybe not go for triples if it's close to avoid doing some silverless spins. See Cadenza go for the potion.
Not a bad idea, especially if Cadenza is watching the stream. At this point, it's a don't die, is pretty much all you're thinking. You know, you can take a little extra time on Ganon, just don't die.
Yeah, Ninban will be dropping in into Ganon momentarily, but Cadenza already into phase 3. They both have silver arrows. Ninban did make up some time with that Aga 2, I think. But phase 4 gets the torch glitch.
Misses the prime chance for a double or a triple though, so we're going to have to take it a little more piecemeal.
Yeah, 2 hits in. And that's a nice setup for a double to finish it. And there it is.
Alrighty, so at this point, Cadenza just has a 1x3 bridge to conquer, and then you can go ahead and get your GGs in chat. And there we go. Cadenza finishing in first place with an official SRL, or I guess official race time GG, time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 32 seconds. That does include the 15-minute spoiler log time.
And Ninban, meanwhile, misses the torch glitch and does not have any refills, so gonna have to get it done here. But there it goes.
Alright, and there we go. Ninban finishing in second place with an official race time GG time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 19 seconds. So less than a minute separating our runners.
And Ninban made up some time through the top of Ganon's tower, particularly I think on Aga 2, but not quite enough to close the gap fully. I think we are going to be joined by Ninban here for an interview.
That does look like it. Ninban, whenever you're ready, my friend, GG. That was a fun seed with a bunch of stuff in TR.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to how to lower my game volume. Can I just close my emulator and leave the credits out?
I'm pretty sure they want your item. They want it all the way to the end for the item count. To be certain.
Well, I can hear you barely, so ask away. And GG Cadenza. Cadenza, you're not here.
Yes, that is true. Cadenza is not here. So I guess kind of the obvious thing to ask about is the decision to double dip Pod and Eastern. What made you choose to kind of route it that way instead of going for the?
Well, when I first heard it, I thought that my first goal was in TR, so and I didn't reheard it after that. So that's why I double dipped, and I did all kind of dumb things at the start because I was planning on getting the Titan's Myth from Agina after the gloves, but then I thought, hey, I can just use the flute to get there. And then I died in the overworld, so I wanted to get the bow at hammer pace before going back to pod, but I didn't have the myths. So that's my confusion.
Yeah, you took that death near pod, although I'm not sure if you had the money to get into pod at that point either.
No, I didn't have the money either, and that's why I died too. So
that's totally fair. But yeah, it's I do know how one unexpected overworld death or change can kind of force rerouting on the fly. That definitely shows up in these spoiler races.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did see you in chat earlier. Do you do that for most of your races during it? Keep a kind of close eye on things?
Oh, I do that even for regular races. Just kidding. No, last times I didn't know I could watch the thing or the other racer. Now I knew, so decided to have fun and watch. It was fun. Got to see Cadenza make the good plays, the good harding.
Yeah, it is fun. I'm super impressed. I know there were some errors early on in there, but I'm still impressed by anybody who can do that and play at the same time. I know I cannot do that myself.
Well, at some points you're just like brain dead inside dungeons because you know where the things are, and just like and just do the dungeon like normally.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's easiest to trip up for dungeon routing, especially for the more complex ones like pod, just because you're not really thinking about dungeon routing when you go through your 15-minute spoil log time. You're trying to get all your key items and get any safeties you can get your hands on.
Yeah, but you really should. Because it's hard to hard the dungeon while you're trying to have your eyes focused on the game. And then you also have to focus your eyes on the spoiler log because you have to make links between, oh, I get the key here, then the key here, and then I can unlock that door, and then I get the key here. So I highly suggest folks to hard the dungeons in the 15 minutes if they can. At least like pod, like you don't hard Thieves Town in your 15 minutes. You just go, hey, I go in Thieves Town, and that's it. But plan out your pod out.
That's fair. TR is Thieves Town's quite a bit more linear.
Yeah, Thieves Town, you just check where's the big key and if you need anything in the hammer chest in case you get it later. But like in most cases, you'll get hammer before even setting foot in TT, so you don't care.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, I've been trying to get better at doing that myself, but I still tend those 15 minutes run out in a hurry, and it's like, oh, I've got 60 seconds, and I've only got like my first 5 crystals planned, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's a very real issue. 15 minutes seems like a lot of time, but for the vast majority of our runners, it's difficult to get everything you need completely done in that 15 minutes. And stuff like, that bow sitting on hammer pegs can just sneak up on you. So you route something based upon the bow in Turtle Rock, and then you turn around and see Cadenza pick one up in hammer pegs, and you're like, oh no, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, but I just assumed I had to go into Turtle Rock anyway, so I didn't think about the other bow location. That's my bad.
Which, I mean, you did have to go into Turtle Rock for the book anyway.
Yes, I did have to go.
But yeah, any other thoughts on it? I know.
Nope. I'm gonna wrap it up and go to the French SpeedGaming side, because they're also having an interview, and that's where Cadenza is at the moment. Oh no, she's here. I was just saying you're on the French side.
Yeah,
GG Cadenza.
We did a quick interview, so I
Yeah.
didn't waiting for too long. Thanks, GG Ninban. It was really close.
Yep. You did a much better routing than I. I don't know if you watched. Did you watch?
Yeah. I watched. I also watched the French restream, so I had their commentary, but I was watching on my phone, so I had a bit of delay. But yeah, yes, certain decisions were better, but I wasn't sure about all I decided to do. Like, I went in the dark world from the village and then the ball dorm, and you decided, I think, to buy bombs right at the start so you can do minimal dorm.
Yeah.
So I think that was more efficient.
I think it was, but initially I didn't think about the hammer pegs having the bow, so I went there. I didn't go there first like you did, and I waited my bow in TR.
Yeah. Yeah, and with your routing with the hammer soon, I could have taken the bow from the south, like Ipe Cave, Stumpy, then Peg Cave. It would have been more efficient too.
Yes, yeah.
But it was an interesting seed.
Yeah.
No mirror is sad.
Yeah, it was kind of sad when I figured out the mirror was blocked by GD.
Yeah. But no dipping pendant swamp. I don't complain about that.
Yeah, no complaints. So I leave you in the care of Mercer and Hammer, and I go join the French side. Thank you guys for accommodating this race.
Thanks for racing. It was a great show that you guys put on, so GG's to both of you, and we will see you around Ninban.
All right. Thanks, and GG's again, Cadenza. See you later.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and GG's to Cadenza as well. I think we covered a lot of it with Ninban, but did you have any other thoughts on the seed?
Not really. I must say I was really surprised at first when I saw that we had really different routings, but I wasn't sure what was the best way to go. With the boots and the mountain, I was really hesitating when I was doing my route as to, do I go in the mountain first so I can get my boots as soon as possible, or do I clear Eastern and Pod to get all the items necessary to go in TR as well when I'll be there. So I think it was better to get the boots a bit later, but it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, figuring out when to grab the boots, assuming that they're not, somewhere really, really early, is always one of the big arguments between a lot of runners. A lot of runners say that it's completely overrated and that the boots aren't really that big of a deal. And then on the flip side, you have a large group of runners that just, they're the boots, they're there, and I'm going to get them first. So
it really depends on the location, I think.
That's fair. And with the book sitting all the way back in Turtle Rock, which being required for desert, because of course it is, you had to go up there anyways. I think that your routing overall was better, I want to say, just from what I saw. And a lot of the time that Ninban made up was in execution and in the fact that you had you died in TR.
Yeah.
But I mean, even after watching it, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, that TR death was really painful. After the fact, I should have taken my potion, but on the moment, I just didn't think of it.
It's difficult to pull the trigger on a safety like that when you know that there's probably going to be a situation later in the game where you're really going to want that potion too.
Yeah, that's true. But I think if I had used them there, I would have bought another one, and I would have taken a blue potion, which would have been nice to be sure I was okay in Ice Palace and in GT as well, because no lamp, so climbing GT is a bit scary sometimes.
That is fair. Blue goos are really, really nice in GT, especially when you're looking at 10 hearts in blue mail. That's a little less than we normally get. So
Yeah, it was mostly for like it's nice to use magic items in the gauntlet, like maybe for Landmolas or the fire rod in the rooms before. But when you don't have fast magic, you don't have any potion, and you don't have the lamp, it's like, okay, I will just don't use that because I could be in trouble in the torch room.
yeah, the last thing you want to do is to end up with a fire rod shot or two too little, and then having to basically redo your climb completely.
Yeah. Even more considering the race was pretty close, so it was really stressful. I think it's the format that stressed me the most, because you can look at your opponent stream, so you know how far behind or ahead you are at all moment. So you know you must not screw up because the person is right behind or a bit ahead, and you have to play your best. So
Yeah, for sure on that front. That's why I can't stand to look myself. I admire those of you who can.
well, I think it makes for great restreams. Most races are pretty close, so it's nice to watch and comment, I think.
I definitely agree with that. And I also do like the shorter format, even though that's way more stressful for the people who are actually running it. Like, I know for you guys, having 15 minutes and then running through a seed in, give or take an hour, give or take 5-10 minutes is just absolute chaos, but it's so much fun to watch.
Oh, honestly, I really like to run that format, and I think it's a great incentive to work on executions, because you get into places with so much less equipment, safeties, health than in normal seed, that you need to practice those. Whereas in the normal seed, you will just be meh. It's always easy. I get to that boss. I have tempered sword, 12 hearts, and everything's easy.
That's a good point. That's one of the main reasons that I do not join this tournament, other than in commentary, is because I don't want to be staring down blind or someone else with 4, 5, 6 hearts, just be like, well, we're going to die today.
Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have any seed that was really scary on a blind Motula VD fight. I had a few Hammer Trinexes that weren't easy, and a few like Master Sword Ganon, things like that. But yeah, pretty much not too crazy stuff so far.
I wouldn't hold your breath. You have several races left.
Yeah. I was going to say, let's hope it stays that way.
Awesome. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we get on out of here?
No, outside, thanks for the commentary, the restream, the tracker, and all the team pulling out that tournament, which is a lot of fun. So thanks all.
And thanks to you for racing. You guys do the hard part. I'm going to go ahead and take this time to give you guys a reminder. Go ahead and follow our runners, Ninban and Cadenza. They put on a wonderful show. And as we alluded to, this is just a horribly unforgiving tournament type 2 race and route. So give them your follows. Meanwhile, shout outs to our tracker, whose name I am attempting to pull up because I'm blind as a bat. Yukikazi, thank you for pressing the buttons. Tracking for Spoiler Log Tournament is definitely on hard mode because all the items are in and out in about 20 minutes, so you have to keep an eye on everything, keep those buttons pressed. So thank you for that. Mercer, did you have anything you wanted to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, in addition to my shout out to Hammer for being great on co-commentary, on SpeedGaming 1 right now, or just SpeedGaming, not SpeedGaming 1, there is a speedrunning marathon for No Kid Hungry. Go watch it. Additionally, I believe on SpeedGaming 2, there should still be a match of this tournament in progress, unless they have gone very, very fast. It's about half an hour in. But I believe one of our runners today is actually running in the speedrunning marathon on Sunday, doing Area of Sorrow Castlevania Randomizer at 6 a.m. Ninban is on that. But give that a watch. Kick in donations for good cause if you can. And otherwise, keep your eyes on the SpeedGaming, family of channels, SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 2 through 6 for more spoiler tournament action, as well as that marathon.
Awesome. So I think that's all we got. For Mercer and myself, Hammer Bro, have a great night, everyone.